Alright, welcome back, guys. Hi there, everyone. How have you been? Happy Tuesday. Hope you had a great weekend, ladies and gentlemen. Sorry that, as you can see, we are streaming a bit earlier because today, well, I promise it won't happen regularly at all. Sorry that we are streaming a bit earlier, 2 hours earlier than usual. Sorry that we are streaming a bit earlier. I know that most of you must be in your work hours, in your work shift. So extra and special thanks from the bottom of my heart to anyone who might take the time to then watch this as a YouTube VOD or a Twitch VOD. I know that I usually stream a bit more earlier in a much more comfortable time for the Americas, but well, today it's a special day. It's a kind of like a special case because it's a relative's birthday, so well, I have to stream a bit earlier. So I'm streaming exactly 2 hours before earlier when compared to my usual schedule. Before I usually start my usual schedule. So we'll stream, it'll be a relatively short stream of 2 hours because then in the afternoon I have to, of course, finish a stream and get to that social celebration. What are you gonna do? So, no. It's also quite important to me, so I need to be there. So that's why we're streaming a bit earlier today. But that doesn't mean that we don't have a lot of interesting things to do. So for today, since we have roughly 2 hours, perhaps a bit more, I will try to cover the coast, all of the eastern section, not the coast, the eastern section of the northern region of Ancaria. As you can see here, I've already unlocked a resurrection monolith here. I've done the preparations already, so we are ready to go without any further ado. So we'll go over here. We'll try to cover all of the eastern section of northern Ancaria. It might take us a bit more of time than what you might think, because I've already seen that there are some scarce settlements, and I don't even know what kind of settlements are up here. I know that
there is no time for praying.
I know that at least here there's a settlement that we are gonna reach. It will be the first one we'll head over to. So we'll begin from the south to the north, and we'll cover all of this. There's also a volcano there. There are also some specific things, and I hope to stumble upon some other settlements besides the Cook's Corner that we've already completed all of the side quests there. So yeah, the plan for today is to cover all of that, come all over here, and clear everything to the east of the main river that you see right here, that we already have everything cleared except for this section, right? So we leave all of this ready for next time. We have the main quest there, we have the other main quest here. Remember, we are doing a modded campaign in which we are able to play both the evil and the good side campaigns. And just as a quick review, I've been farming a bit. I have 2 million gold. I've been unable to fix the crashes, no surprises there. Then we'll see what we can do about that. I leveled up. I was kind of like at the end of level 46. We go to level 47. I spent some points on concentration. I think we'll get to level... It's important that we get to level 3 concentration to get our third active buff that you can see right here, that it's locked. Once we get that, we can go back to Purifying Chastisement. Purifying Chastisement, we'll be able to mod it. I'll swap the 3 mods of Frenetic Fervor here to Purifying Chastisement. To Purifying Chastisement down here, and that will modify the type of damage I deal, because right now I'm dealing way too much physical damage and way too little fire damage. And as you know, physical damage is the most resisted damage type in the game, so we need to change this balance so that the fire damage is at least close to 50%. I don't know. Something along those lines. As for the rest, yeah, I changed my staff. I was using a quite outdated staff. Fortunately, while farming a bit, don't think that I farmed for a lot of time. I just farmed for half an hour or an hour, and well, I fortunately looted this Ash Quarter Staff of Coins, which, as you can see, the base damage is 83 to 98, and it increases my attack value, accuracy, attack speed, and casting speed, which is pretty smooth. I also swapped a bit of my rings a bit. I changed them a bit. Here you can see that I'm now using percentages rather than fixed values for my rings, except for this one. Once we loot another legendary ring, we also swap it. I've also assigned this one here. This is Lodged Spirit, which, while it's of a pretty low level, that's the negative aspect, because I haven't spent a lot of runes on that, and it's a melee attack. It's also quite similar to Ruthless Mutilation, except for the fact that it deals ice damage rather than fire damage. So with all of that, I more or less did that small update. The biggest difference, you'll see it here, because the base damage of the Ash Quarter Staff of Coins is 83, it's 83, and here Tensanuil's Legacy, my legendary staff, which is amazing, it's quite amazing, probably the best staff I've ever looted, the only legendary weapon for my class that I've ever looted. Well, that's the case. As you can see, the base damage was 53. There's a 30-point difference due to the fact that it's level 15 instead of level 47. And as for the rest, at the end of the previous stream, as you can see here, we looted our second Star Wars lightsaber. Right, I don't have proficiency with swords, so we cannot use that. But they are pretty OP, in case you're wondering. Yes, they are quite OP. You can play with lightsabers. There was a cameo, there was a little goblin called Yolda, that you get by doing the town's full line of side quests. So we finished that. And we got the old side quest, and that involved essentially getting our second lightsaber. But well, as you can see, they are dying pretty fast because now I'm using a weapon that is for my level, that is actually for my level. And yes, I've also updated my relics, and as you can see, I have already selected my poison, my anti-poison relics there. As you can see here, I have we have a legendary one here, but I've already selected my poison relics. That's why we died so fast. The other day, on Thursday precisely, when trying to do the side quests, because the spiders would deal a lot of poison damage naturally, but my relics were assigned like this, and I was tired. It was by the end of the previous stream, so I didn't realize. So I was using my magic relics that, as you can see, they increase my magic armor, and I need to do this to increase my poison armor. Now I get the hang of it. You need to have the 4 sets ready over here to change them and kind of like amplify the main type of enemy damage that you're gonna be going up against. Right, so there are 4 options because they will always deal, all enemies will always deal physical damage. So the key is to have the 4 sets there to mitigate the specific type of damage that enemies deal. How do you know what type of damage enemies deal? Well,
Easy for you.
look at the health bar of the enemies down there. The top, um, the top bars, the top armor bars, kind of like similar to mine here. They will indicate the type of damage enemies deal, and the low, the bottom bar indicates the type of armor they have. For example, the werewolf only deals physical damage, but it has also fire armor, for example. Yeah, right. No plan saves you from... Yeah, right, I forgot to activate my buffs. There we go. They still deal pretty high damage. So we need to be careful. Hey, there's a spider instead of a tavern. That's a weird way of spawning. Damage over time to my doppelganger. Thank you, no. Right. As you can see, it will be a quite perilous journey. We won't be using the spider. I don't want to lose another mount. We got our spider mount in the previous stream, but I won't be using it because they cost 1 million gold and I've already lost 2 million buying a second one. I was at 1 million, we did a little side quests and I farmed, so we're back at 2 million. So I don't want to waste my gold because I need to really level up my abilities. And I've noticed that my abilities are of quite low level. For example, we have this Lodged Spirit at level 4, for example, and a lot of them, when all of them should be close to level 32, which is essentially my limit. The limit of my...
Your death came almost too easy.
They should be close to level 32 because of what I'm gonna show you in a minute. I just don't want to get killed. Alright, I need to focus on killing the spiders so they don't deal that nasty poison damage. I've also cleaned up my inventory. I've organized things so we have a bit more of room before the inventory gets full. Right, so I was telling you that all of my abilities should be close to level 32 because that's the limit, as you can see, of my overall skill talent tree maximum level. Right, my abilities can go over this limit, but they can't go over this limit. But as you can see, none of them is really actually close. Like you can see, reverse polarity, I've increased it to 20. I've increased the base level to 20. But for example, see, this Lodged Spirit is 4. Ruthless Mutilation that I use a lot, 22. So that's a bit better. But they should all be at close to 32. Right, so see, Frenetic Fervor and where's the other one? And I don't know if I'll use, when I get my third buff, if I'll use Perfine Chastisement or Soul Reaver. Soul Reaver is probably better because of the defense value. So, and the fact that you don't need to take damage in order to charge this up. But apparently, that it has to do with the Souls of Fallen Corpses. Like, it's not good against bosses because when you're going up against a boss, I'm thinking there won't be any I'm afraid there won't be any corpses nearby to increase the base defense and attack value. Besides, it's only accuracy, And I have pretty good accuracy, so probably it'll be purifying chastisement. As for the rest, as you can see, my staff inherently increases the attack speed.
This will make a
I've
nice
upgraded the attack speed a bit, so we should deal damage a bit faster and also cast the spells a bit faster. I think I showed you, but in case you were not paying attention, here, as you can see, it has a 6.4% of extra attack speed and cast speed. Alright, as you can see there, we have our first town, so let's head over there. Let's head over there. But well, yeah, the main reason why I was dying the other day, it was essentially because I didn't have my poison relics. My poison defense is up and running. Winery, 3 wins, Royal Honky Tonk, Vale View. Right. I think it should be over here. Yep, correct way. Okay. I think we're doing a pretty good job. Okay. Let's follow the road. Let us follow the road, ladies and gentlemen. Let's follow the road. Remember, we are playing with Diablos, with an enhanced camera mod that allows us to zoom out even more and get a better perspective of the battleground. There we go. You get more money by selling stuff at shops. And there should be a side quest in here. I see a side quest on the map. Ah, it's outside. It's outside. No. Don't close. Don't close. Alright, here we go. Kill the Minotaurs. Oh, talking about enemy variety here. I think we faced one Minotaur, only one, in a very, very distant cave and by accident. Greetings, traveler. Do you have time to listen to an old man's problems? Always. You see, some bad things have been happening. Some of my servants wanted to go look at a nearby cave as a sort of there. Ah, stupid people everywhere. But none of them came back. A real live Minotaur has been spotted around here. I think the beasts live in that cave, You look like you know how to take care of yourself, so it probably wouldn't be a big deal for you to pay a visit to the cave and clean it out. You will be well paid.
If
All
I
right.
receive appropriate pay, I will send a few crazy, hard-as-nails crack orcs your way.
Ah, only 2 side quests, apparently, and there's the objective. So the objective will naturally make us explore the zone. So yeah, the objective will make us naturally explore the zone. The 2 side quests. So there's that. There we go. Our village must grow. Bring women to the village. Oof. There's probably a lot of people committing the S word right now hearing this. We want our small village to grow and become more beautiful, and there's nothing more beautiful than women. A trade route passes close to the village and caravans travel along it every day. Could you stop one of the caravans and bring the women to the village? With force, if necessary. Just the women. We don't have any use for the men. We will reward you.
For the gods.
No, I can see what you are up to. That was pretty straightforward. Alright. So the second side quest's objective involves going back right besides the resurrection monolith, so it shouldn't be much of a problem. So we'll begin with bad things with the other quest. Let's go and find those 2 fools who got lost in the cave with the Minotaurs. Besides, I want to see this game's beautiful, incredible, astonishing, amazing, incredible enemy variety. Yes. Want to see this game's incredible enemy variety. Alright, nice try. But my poison defense is up. This one's also only deal physical damage. Alright. The entrance should be around here somewhere. $142, yeah, we've lost some potions. Now to the other side. This is a cliff. And we won't find anything over there. Alright, I believe I see the entrance. It's down there. Could it be? Yeah, right. Fence. There we go. Ah, easy. See, it was easier than I thought. It was easier than I thought. Alright, you forced me to use a potion. There we go, we recover it. Bloodthirsty werewolf. Ah, they killed my doppelganger. It's not good. That's a source of 50% of my damage. Not good. I love how this game's enemy variety kind of like doesn't blatantly change when you change regions. Like, we've seen a lot of goblins in here, but we also have new enemy variety. Kind of like it's gradual and mixed. Like the classic Diablo formula, isometric action RPG formula, is that stoic, that strict way that when you change a zone, zones, enemy variety is kind of like abrupt. It's kind of like abrupt and instant. Like
death comes over you.
Like the second you change zones, enemy variety changes 100%. Like, that's so unnatural. It feels so unnatural. It feels so unnatural. And this game perfectly blends the enemies. Kind of like mixing them up. Like, we've seen spiders in the central region, in the initial region of Ancaria. But perhaps not to this degree. They weren't so powerful. Not to this degree of what's going on? There we go. Thank you. What's going on? Refresh. Yes, there we go. Refresh. 700. There we go. 100 kilobytes. Sorry. There we go. Hey, Minotaur! They weren't so tough. I couldn't even see the armor type resistance. But yeah, I love that about the game. That enemy variety is kind of like handled in a gradual way rather than abruptly. Like when you change zones, it's instant. The spiders are much more powerful than the ones we faced in the initial region, people. Careful, my doppelganger is not up. Careful. Fortunately, I looted that legendary poison relic. But even so, see how they are dealing so much damage to me. This is what I've been talking about. Consider that we are in the toughest region of northern Ancaria so far, because of the poison damage and the damage over time that enemies deal. This is something that I mentioned last time. But it's worth noting that this game brings the best elements of the isometric action RPG genre on one hand, and also the classic RPG genre on the other. I've explained it in depth in the previous stream, or the VOD if you're watching this as a YouTube VOD. Here's the dungeon. So first dungeon of the day, people, pretty straightforward. Remember, we are exploring all of the eastern region of northern Ancaria. So we'll go from south to north and see if we can explore all of that, because I'm sure we'll find even more side quests. Careful. Careful, careful, careful. When you enter a dungeon here, this reminds me so much of Hellgate London. It's the exact same situation. You get kind of like surrounded by all enemies the second you spawn. They're kind of because they kind of like fix on your position in terms of the enemy detection range. We've analyzed the enemy detection range in this game. It's pretty good. Kind of like the formula. It's the same formula as Hellgate London. They fix on your position and they chase you almost endlessly. It's not like in World of Warcraft. For example, I mentioned this, that in World of Warcraft, enemy detection range, which is an element that is often overlooked, in this game, enemy detection range is quite good. They fix on your position and they follow and follow and follow and follow you until you are dead. And it's surprising because this game, contrary to Hellgate London, this game is open world. So in Hellgate London, I presume it was much easier to implement because they are kind of like they are all dungeons. In Hellgate London, there aren't any open field dungeons, let's say. They are all narrow, which is positive on one hand because it contributes to the influence of the level design on the gameplay mechanics, but clearly Sacred 2 is superior on that department because it not only has open fields, but it also has narrow dungeons like this. I always mention this, the influence of the level design on the gameplay mechanics. It's extremely important because, as I've said, I've analyzed this, but I mentioned and analyzed this. Careful, a trap. It's a trap. Yes. I've always mentioned this because, for example, imagine that you can endlessly retreat, like I usually do in a game, in a dungeon. Imagine that you can endlessly retreat and enemies don't pose a threat. That completely destroys the challenge of the game, and therefore it's negative. It's objectively negative for the gameplay mechanics if you allow the player to run away and don't feel that, don't have that feeling of the possibility of being surrounded. Like, if you take out the think of it this way: if you take out the possibility of being surrounded in a game, the level design is it's having a negative impact on the gameplay mechanics, unless it's deliberately done like that for a specific reason. Like, for example, in the overworld, if you want to run away and transport somewhere else because you're just farming, right, no worries. But in dungeons, give me a second. Guardian of Souls, leave this place. You have no business here. Well, I guess we'll be the judges of that, ladies and gentlemen. Right. Let's see. Yeah, we have a business because we have a side quest. What am I saying? Right. Right. We need to find the two fools that got lost in this cavern before they get killed.
Back to the Shadow World, skeleton.
Probably they couldn't use Shadow Realm because of Yu-Gi-Oh! Copyright or some shit like that. I would have gone for Shadow Realm, but I can see the reference there. Alright, it's a nested dungeon. We're getting into the belly of the beast, guys. Let's see. So, Minotaurs have physical, magic, and ice defenses. Yeah, that's right, I deal fire damage. So far, the most effective type of damage has been fire damage, if you ask me. we need to work on what, you know, on having kind of like at least 3 sets of different dual wielding staves, so we can deal kind of like fire, ice, and poison damage, and kind of like change on the fly extremely fast. That'll help us greatly, because while I can't get a proportion of more than 50% fire damage or magic or poison damage, while so far I've been unable to get more than 50%, it's still better than having physical damage, because as you can see, all enemies have physical defense. It's kind of like extremely common. It's the same as the player. I love it when, I don't know if you noticed this, but there are two ways of designing enemies in an RPG, kind of like making them similar to the player or making them completely different to the player. Like in terms of stats, I'm talking about, in terms of stats. And I love it when games precisely are so well designed that they can give to enemies. Don't worry, if it's extremely dark in here, it's not because of your monitor or anything, it's because of my monitor. I always mention this, it's kind of like I modify the contrast and the colors so it replicates real darkness. So if it's extremely dark, it's because of my monitor, so don't worry. That works wonders for Skyrim, huh? I have gotten lost in Skyrim caves thanks to this contrast.
Be delicious. No mercy on heretics.
Is it dead? There we go. No. Oh. Yeah, I remember that these vampires do have a pretty high defense. They are pretty hard to target. So yes, essentially those two different ways of designing enemies. Clearly, for me, I think it's absolutely superior. A game in which enemies are designed in a way that they mimic the player. Why do I think it's objectively superior? First, it gives a better balance because the player can tell. Give me a second. I don't want them to kill me here and go back all the way outside of the dungeon. It's a much better balanced game if enemies kind of like use the same stats as the player. Because while it's extremely subtle, it allows the player to have kind of like a common language, the same base as the global context of the game, if you know what I mean. Kind of like, if you imagine a game in which the enemy design department kind of like assigns to the... I think I see a hidden object there. Wait. Imagine a game in which enemy NPCs have completely different stats, rules, and everything when compared to the player. First of all, it's more difficult for the player to kind of like understand the world that surrounds him. But not only that, it destroys cohesion, kind of like stat cohesion. I've seen that in some games. Like, for example, generally games that don't show you stats at all have that. For example, in hack and slash. Nowadays, hack and slash games do have a lot of RPG elements. But for example, in Darksiders 1, we can use Darksiders 1 as an example. Kind of like, I know Darksiders 1 is more of action adventure rather than RPG, but it has a lot of RPG elements. It can easily be considered light RPG game. It's actually hack and slash, but well. Darksiders 2, which is fully RPG. Where are the two fools? Ah, there we go. There we go. I'm on the right track. It's through here. Imagine Darksiders 2. We can use Darksiders 2 as an example. We can use Kingdoms of Amalur Reckoning, I think, as an example. That enemies kind of like have completely different stats. Like, for example, there's a quest in Darksiders 2 in which you have... It's almost a tutorial level. It's not a tutorial, but it's almost a tutorial level. In which there's an enemy that can kill you in one blow, and you deal a pretty low amount of damage. Clearly the stats have nothing to do. This is done on purpose, and the mission states so it's a perfect example. So you deal 1 point of damage, and the purpose of that mission is to teach you kind of like gameplay mechanics. But for example, there are some other enemies like that in the game, and in Darksiders 2. And like that, you can verify that stats aren't cohesive when compared to other enemies. The player stats aren't cohesive with the NPC enemy stats. There they are. I've come to your rescue. If I don't get killed, thank you. No, it's an assassin. What's the meaning of this? Right. Those two didn't want to be rescued. Esquire asked me to kill the Minotaurs located in a nearby cave. The Minotaurs are dead and I can deliver this joyous news to my employer. Hey, what's this? Hey, we have a cross there. What's the meaning of this? This is the first time it happens to me. I remember doing this quest the other day. I defeated the spiders, got the contact. What happened there? So you can fail missions in this game. No, but I remember doing it. I killed all of the spiders. Here you can see it. Well, it counts as completed, I guess. I mean, I did kill the spiders. I remember this quest, I believe. Don't know what happened there, but well. Then I'll investigate that. Didn't know that. That's new. See, we're getting into the more refined gameplay elements, so you can fail missions in here. Or are they timed or some shit like that? No, I remember doing that quest. It probably doesn't have to do with that. Oh well. I don't know, people. If you want to say that this is not a 100% completion because of that, feel free to do it. But I'm not doing that. I mean, I remember killing the spiders. I remember that we killed the spiders. Now I need to rewatch the Bob. What happened there? Let me see. Okay, so the two fools were dead. We killed the Minotaurs. That's the important thing. And we're out of here. Yep, I believe this was the entrance. It was kind of like a circle. Yep, it was kind of like a circle. I love it that the spiders in the that the spiders outside of the dungeon on the overworld, let's say, in an open field, they're tougher than enemies inside of the dungeon. Like, they've been the only type of enemy. These spiders have been the only type of enemy besides the mutated wyverns of the previous area that have given me a hard time. Because of this, as you can see here, this is damage over time. Hey, I reflect damage over time because I saw that spider with poison damage over time, which I don't deal that type of damage. My doppelganger is up, but who knows where it may be. I think I'm bleeding. Yep, I'm definitely bleeding. Hey, you can bleed out in this game? Damn it, that's peak realism. It's a type of damage. Interesting. Just like I feel like playing Path of Exile all over again. In Path of Exile, my main build was bleed damage plus what was it? Bleed plus attack speed. Pretty good build I have. I'll do a recommendation today, people, to all of you. I'll be recommending this game for some time. It's called Warhammer Inquisitor Martyr. It's also an isometric action RPG. It just got an offline mode. It got a major update. Give me a second. I don't want to die so early into my stream, I guess. Let me reactivate my doppelganger. There we go. I see some T energy up ahead. Alright, we need to go back there. That's not the village. Alright, so we didn't rescue the two idiots, but somehow, yeah, it's the village, it's the village. It's okay, we're done. We're done, we're done, we're done. Perhaps we didn't have to rescue people, we only had to kill the Minotaurs, I mean. He mentioned some fools doing a dare challenge to see if they could go to the cave, but maybe they never went into the cave, I guess. Oh well. I was saying, yeah, I'm reflecting. I think I'm reflecting damage over time as well. So reflection chance also counts for damage over time. Because I don't deal poison damage at all. And I'm reflecting poison damage over time. I don't have that type of damage. And I just saw damage over time. So when you're there, you can see it. That's that green there. It's kind of like poison damage over time. And as you can see here, I can show you. Not here. Here. So you can see I don't deal poison damage. So that means that my incredible ranged reflection chance, which is 30%, I also reflect the effect. That's cool. Pretty cool. Pretty cool. In most games, you generally don't reflect damage over time. Most of the time. Like, generally you only reflect the damage if there's even reflection at all. Kind of like it's not common in a game to have a stat called a reflection chance. Like, I cannot remember an RPG that has that. In fact, I would need to look it up. I take it you were successful. Well, then money is of no object to me. Take this and I'll go with my blessing. Sorry. Thank you very much, Square Boom. Okay. So there's that. That helped us explore a huge chunk of the map, but we are not done. Remember, I want to explore all of the eastern section of the map. So apparently there are no more villages or side quests in here, so we'll just explore it kind of like without doing any kind of quest, and maybe we stumble upon another settlement. That's generally the case with this game. As I was mentioning, people, I will highly recommend to you Warhammer Inquisitor Martyr. It got a major update, including an offline mode last week, after Thursday, when we finished the stream. I think it was on Friday or Saturday. In case you don't know why this is important, it's because Warhammer Inquisitor Martyr was formerly an online-only isometric action RPG, pretty similar to Diablo, but what's so special about that game? Warhammer Inquisitor Martyr is the successor, it's, let's say, the spiritual sequel of another trilogy called The Incredible Adventures of Van Helsing, that we eventually need to stream on the channel. It's pretty similar to Sacred 2, so it's an isometric action RPG, one of those that we love so much, that we usually call Diablo clones. See there, I'm reflecting damage over time, not only the base value of the damage. That's quite interesting. That's a quite interesting choice in terms of gameplay development. It's a quite interesting choice. In most games, you don't reflect damage over time. It's a detail. I know it's a stupid detail, but it's quite important. So I want to analyze it a bit, because it affects the base gameplay stats, as you will see in a moment, because of what I'm about to focus on. But before we do that, as I've said, it's quite amazing. The company behind, careful, because here I'll get killed. I need to be careful with the spiders. They've already killed the doppelganger. The company behind Warhammer Inquisitor Martyr, it's called Neocore Games. They are the developers of the whole trilogy of The Incredible Adventures of Van Helsing. In case you don't know, The Incredible Adventures of Van Helsing, it's an amazing isometric action RPG. I haven't played it, so how do you know that it's amazing? I've seen a lot of gameplay. I've always wanted to play it, so I think we'll stream it, because it's a pretty long game. If you like Titan Quest, if you like Diablo, The Incredible Adventures of Van Helsing is a no-brainer. But Warhammer Inquisitor Martyr,
I am totally overloaded.
fortunately, received a major update last week, so including an offline mode. So it will, fortunately, I am so happy that it will be fortunately preserved forever, now that we can finally have the complete package without connecting to a server. Like, I hate games as a service, but not because out of spite, because without any kind of reason. It's because it's kind of like, think of it like this, people. Think of it like this. Games as a service is basically grabbing an axe. Think of it like grabbing an axe and cutting your game in half, right? In website development, I know this because I develop software, and development in general, there are generally two things that kind of like make that kind of like your application, any app that you are using, or most of them, at least 99% of them, any modern app that you are using or anything like that on your cell phone, any program on your PC or whatever, is basically composed of two things: a database and then the functionality of the program itself. Well, games, in the case of offline games, you don't need the database. It's kind of like inside of the game. Let's say this is a pretty blunt way of referring to it, but that's essentially the idea. In games as a service, in the case of games as a service, online only games, they essentially they've been cut in half with an axe. Kind of like the database with all of the users, with all of your accounts, is separated from the actual functionality of the game, right? So I see no reason why that would happen. I see no reason. That's why I generally don't like them. So I'm extremely happy to know that Warhammer Inquisitor Martyr will be able to be preserved forever. In that sense, Neocore Games, I think they do the same with all of their games. I think they did the same with The Incredible Adventures of Van Helsing. I think at one point it was online only, and they did the same. In The Incredible Adventures of Van Helsing, it's so amazing because it has kind of like endless mode. It has offline endless mode. It has arenas, everything. So I'm happy to see that Warhammer Inquisitor Martyr is following the same path, people. So yeah, highly recommended. Extremely the Incredible Adventures of Van Helsing, the trilogy, the whole trilogy. You should grab the director's cut because it's essentially the trilogy. And then this is something that few people know. The first game, the scaling of the leveling was altered for the director's cut, which is essentially the trilogy. It was altered. So also the first game, you can also get individually the first game, which also has a never-ending mode, kind of like isolated. That is pretty amazing. In case you want to kind of like face a different challenge, because the leveling is different. The scaling of the level is different. Right. However, people, besides that, damn it. See, I told you those spiders were pretty dangerous. Anyways, I think we explored up to the edge of the map, and our second side quest is right here, in fact. See why I did the other one first? For today, I wanted to also share with you an interesting story. This is a story that I haven't told a lot on stream, and that's a mistake, because it's quite important. Ah, there it is, there's the objective. Some werewolves. Careful, I need to be careful with those spiders. Thanks to my... I wouldn't even be able to survive this without my poison resistance. A pretty interesting story. Did you know how the gaming industry became independent? This is a story that I've read 1,000 times, that I love to tell. Hang on a second. That I love to tell, but for some reason I never told it on stream, which is sad. So we're changing that. How the gaming industry became independent? Well, it all begins long ago. We're under attack. 2 arms. Ah, they're gonna attack me. Alright, we have to kind of like bring the... Right. 7 out of 8. We need to kill someone else, I guess? No. No. Please don't kill us. We'll do anything you want. There we go. You come with. Pretty interesting story that this should be told much more, guys. Why? Because it's how the gaming industry became independent from the movie industry, from the film industry. So, long ago, it's about Nintendo. It's about Donkey Kong and, well, the origins of Kirby as well. These are also the origins of Kirby. It's a story that I cannot believe that a lot of people don't tell more. So long ago, before the gaming industry was kind of like mainstream, as people say nowadays, mainstream, popular, that it was widely spread, and it was something kind of like much more exclusive, let's say, for a few people, before technology was widespread. The film industry was much bigger. It was dominant. It's not like today that gaming is kind of like more dominant. So 99% of licenses were held. The rights to all intellectual property licenses were owned by film companies rather than gaming companies or anything else. They were meant to be used only for movies and TV series. So, completely unrelated to this, a completely unrelated event to this for now, Nintendo designs, as you know, the game in 1984, if I am not mistaken, the original Donkey Kong game. Pretty popular. If you haven't played it, you have the Game Boy version, which is pretty good, and it's upgraded when compared to the original arcade machine. We're talking about the original arcade machine, the one in which there's kind of like, if you haven't seen it, there's kind of like Mario and Donkey Kong on top dropping the barrels. Well, that one, if you've seen it. Otherwise, you can Google it, or I think there's an episode of regular show from long ago that features it's a cameo. It's a parody of the champion of Donkey Kong, like that, in which I think it was Mordecai, the Bluebird, played against him. Uh, Pretty good regular show, by the way. It's not one of my favorites, but some people love it. I don't, but some people love it. I would say it's decent. Um, so it's the one with a lot of ladders and Donkey Kong dropping barrels. The spiritual successor is the um, Mario vs. Donkey Kong series from Nintendo. The original from the Game Boy Advance. That one has different gameplay mechanics, and then it had a different variation with Mario vs. Donkey Kong, March of the Minis, Mario vs. Donkey Kong 2, Mario vs. Donkey Kong, Miniland Mayhem, all of those games. Amazing games. I love those games. A Nintendo DS is worth it just for those games. Hey, this is a nested quest. Good. I hope this helps us exploring the rest of the eastern side of northern Ancaria. Escort our new citizen here unharmed. I have another small errand for you. There is a man in the next village who would like to move here. Could you bring him here unharmed? Sure thing. Besides, that will lead us to the next village, or no, here. Oh, well, look at that. We got killed, but we explored everything. Let's explore the rest of the place, because that was my main idea. Then we can do the quest. I need to be careful. The spiders here hit pretty hard. This is kind of like the hardest zone. 94 potions, good. This is the hardest zone of northern Ancaria. So, as I was mentioning, Donkey Kong, the arcade machine, was released in 1984. And Nintendo got sued. The irony. Nintendo sues so many people nowadays because of copyright strikes and those things, and it got originally sued. It was the original sue, the first sue in the history of law, of modern law, regarding video games. Regarding video games, we're talking about the first lawsuit regarding video games. So, who pushed a lawsuit against Nintendo? Who sued Nintendo? Well, none other than the film industry, Paramount Pictures. Yes, Paramount Pictures, people. What I'm telling you is basically how video games got independent from the movies industry, because without the outcome of this story, video games would have never existed because of license problems, as you'll see. So, Paramount sues Nintendo. You must be wondering, why? Why? Well, I mentioned Donkey Kong for a reason. They accuse Nintendo of copyright of using King Kong's image. What I'm telling you is 100% true. You can Google it up. They sued Nintendo for copying King Kong. Yes, yes. Supposedly, Donkey Kong was a copy of King Kong. Besides, think about this. In the arcade machine, Donkey Kong kind of like is on top when he's throwing barrels. If you see the arcade machine in action, he's throwing barrels from the top of what seems to be a building. Yeah, and that's pretty much the main scene, the main give me a second. The main final plot resolution, the final scene of King Kong. So imagine back in the day, when the film industry was quite powerful. It's not crazy to think that would happen. Nowadays, we would say, what the fuck, Donkey Kong is completely different when compared to King Kong. But no, besides that, so they sued Nintendo. And Nintendo had a problem. It had a second problem. First, they had to prove that Donkey Kong wasn't King Kong. That's why you can see that the style of Donkey Kong then became quite animated and quite different. It kind of like became brownish, and King Kong is black. It has kind of like that black fur. So that could have been another measure Nintendo took. Oof, this one is... When did it kill my doppelganger? Shit, this area is quite tough. And I upgraded my gear before starting the stream. So imagine. I upgraded my gear.
Gods for this new chance.
Oh well, we'll make it, people. We'll make it. Anyways, the other quest is over there, so that's not a problem. Now we also got custom mounts here. I need to be careful not to. I've already lost one of these. This cost 1,000,000 gold, and that damage over time can kill them. So yeah, it's better that I do this unmounted. So let me get over there one second. We'll enter through here. See if we can explore that section. So Nintendo gets sued by Paramount, and they had to prove that Donkey Kong wasn't King Kong, that they didn't copy King Kong. Who did they have? They had another problem I was mentioning. Sorry, I didn't want to forget. I got killed and I don't want to forget. They didn't have any... Back in the day, Nintendo didn't have... They didn't have... Nintendo of America. They didn't have kind of like a US-based company here. Then, of course, we all know that Reggie Films AIM took care of Nintendo of America. But back then, Nintendo of America wasn't a thing. Back in 1984, Nintendo was still a Japan exclusive company, even if they shipped, yes, they shipped the consoles to the US and Europe. And they shipped them to the Americas, to the US and Europe, but they didn't have a legal company representing them here. So for American law, for US law, they had no presence here. But they were selling their stuff here, so they could be sued. They were selling their stuff there, sorry, not here. Not here, in the US, I mean. So, Nintendo had to find someone to defend them. A hero. A hero, precisely. And they did find a hero. They did find a hero. They did find a hero. Who is this hero, you may wonder? Careful, this is the spider that dealt so much damage. Lawyer John Kirby. Yes, the very exact last name of the character that we all know and love, that so many games are released about him. Yes, Lawyer John Kirby, the original Kirby. You must see. I think you are getting the... That's a bit of a spoiler, but well, we are almost at the end of the story. Lawyer John Kirby. Lawyer John Kirby is part of the story, it's not a spoiler I have here. This lawyer from... I don't know which state of the US he was from, but this lawyer volunteered to represent a foreign company against a US-based company, which back in the day, we're getting into a T-energy contaminated zone. Careful, enemies here are even more powerful. Careful. Also, if you step on that, that deals damage. Careful, we need to tread lightly here. We need to tread lightly. We need to tread lightly here. Careful. Oof, a mutated spider. Need to be careful, these are pretty nasty. So, Lawyer John Kirby was hired by Nintendo. He volunteered This is probably also one of the first lawsuits in the US that involves a foreign company without any kind of official representation in the US as well. So it's quite amusing and interesting that it's about video games. So lawyer John Kirby volunteered and represented Nintendo, and with an amazing legal defense, John Kirby defended Nintendo. He proved that you are not infringing, it's not a copyright infringement to have video game characters that are similar to movie characters. And if this lawsuit was never won by John Kirby, if John Kirby never existed, or even if he existed, he didn't have the courage back then to represent a foreign Japanese company against Paramount, probably nowadays video games wouldn't have characters that are similar to famous movie characters. Like, this is the lawsuit, what I'm telling ya. Paramount Pictures versus Nintendo, against Nintendo, is the one that gave the gaming industry independence. And I'm sad that so few people know about it, because it's quite important. Because if John Kirby hadn't defended Nintendo back then, we don't know what would have happened with copyrights and licenses in terms of gaming characters. They probably would have been completely different, because they couldn't have been similar to movie characters, and that would have destroyed a lot of the creativity in the gaming industry. Like, for example, think about how, for example, Link, he's an elf. Link is an elf. And in The Lord of the Rings, we have Legolas. Then someone could have said that Link couldn't be an elf because elves were an integral part of The Lord of the Rings. So we own a lot to John Kirby and to Nintendo for making copyright licenses independent from movie companies. Quite important, and I don't see a lot of articles in gaming magazines and reviews online about it. So I wanted to comment it today, because the other day I was playing precisely the Donkey Kong Country Returns 3D on the 3DS, and I remembered it, and I said, yeah, I mentioned this on stream, and I realized that, and I remember that I haven't mentioned that one. Quite important story that deserves to be told. Careful, we don't have a doppelganger. That deserves to be told more, much more. But that's not the end of it. After this, you can imagine that Nintendo gave John Kirby all of the honors and recognition that he deserved, because he think of it like this. This in law. You've stumbled upon the philosopher, people. You already know the philosopher in me. You already know the linguistic English teacher, and the software developer. Now you'll know the lawyer within me. It's quite important, because this is what we call a leading case, kind of like a case about in which things, let's say the topic at hand that is being treated, kind of like in all, briefly speaking, regardless of the judicial system that you are in the US and English-based countries, there's something called the common law system that we know so much from watching movies, in my case, and I had to study it in my case, but that most of the population know from watching movies with the jury and everything. Regardless if you're using that or the Southern European Roman a continental law system that we use in Central and Southern Europe. The case of Germany is special, it's a hybrid, except for Germany. That we use in Southern Europe, the classic Roman. We still use a lot of Roman law. For example, in Argentina, as you know, as I've told you a million times, but in case you're watching this as a YouTube bot or you're a newcomer to the stream, I'm from Argentina. I'm also Italian because of something called jus sanguinis. This in Latin, the blood rights. Because we have a lot of tradition, kind of like the biggest Italian diaspora outside of Italy is essentially Argentina, precisely Buenos Aires city, where I live. Fair winds in English. Um, we still use the Roman law system. You must be thinking, but you use the old school, the quite old system from Roman law. No, but a lot of principles are used, and for example, the jus sanguinis, the one that gave me the Italian citizenship, it's precisely Roman law. It was the original way in which citizens of Rome would ensure that their original citizens, those with Italian blood, regardless of where they would fight or get killed or whatever would happen, they would still get the citizenship. Yes, crazy as it may sound, it's still that very same Roman law. In the case of the common law system, since this has to do with a lot of religious influences, like the Protestant section of Europe after the division in Middle Ages between Roman Catholic and Protestant, feudal lords between those. In Protestant countries, you'll see that they use the common law system, and by extension, the US as well. So this is what we call, regardless of the system, if it's continental law system or common law system, regardless of the system, a leading case, the case of Nintendo against Paramount. What's a leading case? A case in which you're getting into uncharted territory. There, in any, regardless of the system, in any case, a trial, regardless if you use a jury or the continental system, a trial is about the you can think about it like a fight at its core of two rights. Kind of like there's a collision. We usually use this word. There's a collision of two different rights. Kind of like, for example, liberty and life, for example, or private property and liberty, or private property and I don't know, and life. I don't know. It's always a collision between two rights at the very core of any trial. So careful, these are quite powerful. They are mutated werewolves. I need to keep my distance. Bloodthirsty werewolves. Well, the name is quite accurate. Damn it. They inflict bleeding damage. Give me a second. Sorry that I interrupt my story, but they also have pretty good defense. There we go. Yeah, they have. I think they don't have a pretty good permanent passive defense. I think they have kind of like an active ability that protects them against my first, let's say, waves of damage, my initial damage. So I was mentioning, it's a leading case, a case in which we are getting into uncharted territory in terms of the collision of those two rights. In this case, copyright licenses of something called video games back in the day was uncharted territory. It was uncharted territory, and lawyers that have the expertise, the experience as well, and the ability to win cases like those, they must be quite proficient, quite proficient. So yes, John Kirby, we can say that he was an incredible lawyer, and Nintendo was quite fortunate. There's a, see, I told you. See, people, there's a side quest right at the edge of the map. See, and we're doing a 100% completion, so I already have the correct instinct to detect them. Alright, let's get to it. First, let's grab the side quest. We're about to level up, besides. Oh, careful, careful. I see another bloodthirsty werewolf over there. Let's trigger up. Let's trigger our defenses, sorry. It has fire resistance, that's why. It's one of the few enemy types that it has fire resistance. And most of my damage is physical and fire. It's my perfect counter. The bloodthirsty werewolves is my perfect counter. See, in this case, if I had another set of, a different set of... Level up, there we go. If I had a different set of staves, I could switch and we would be able to deal a different type of damage, and that would be more effective against the werewolves.
Sacrificial animals. Nice.
We need to level up. I need to work on lowering the cooldown, the regeneration time of my concentration here. Of my abilities. We are using concentration. So let's increase our base damage. And let's increase our regeneration time, because 20 seconds. There we go. I'm kind of like... Once we reach level 75, I'm doing this because once we reach level 75, there you can see it, we will get to our mastery, which is important because we'll unlock our third passive buff, which is something I desperately need. So yes, I'll probably have to respec to speed up the process, but doesn't matter. I also have to reduce my regeneration time. We already have pretty good defenses overall. It's just that there's no defense against those bloodthirsty werewolves. This is the only area in which I'm taking a lot of damage. In other areas, we've been quite efficient. So, John Kirby wins the trial. Paramount is loses the case. Paramount loses the case, and he wins the case. Paramount loses. Nintendo is free to use Donkey Kong without fear of making it being confused with King Kong. Cleat Bloodclaw. Hey, we got a Worldboss here, I believe. Greetings, are you here to collect mushrooms? Some tasty gato. Unfortunately, the area is infested with werewolves. And what's more, their leader... Ooh, it's a bloodthirsty werewolf leader. This will be interesting. Our perfect counter. He's a really dangerous beast, Bloodclaw, they call him. Mind you, he does his name proud, yeah. You would do us all a favor if you... Yeah, alright. Interesting. Interesting, we are going up against... We are going up against... Pretty good enemy variety. Pretty good enemy variety. Pretty good enemy variety in the game. So, to wrap up my story, as we probably get killed by the werewolves, because it's our perfect counter and it's a boss. There's one loose... there's a plot hole in the story so far. After John Kirby wins, is there any relationship between this lawyer and the Nintendo character, our goofy and kind pink ball, the one we know and love? By the way, Kirby has a TV series, if you don't know, from the early 2000s. I think it's pretty good. A lot of people bash it for no reason, and it's amazing. It's pretty similar to Sonic X in terms of the plot and the philosophy behind it. It's called Kirby Right Back at Ya. There it is. Well, looks like we'll have to delay our story a bit. Predictable. That thing is... I need to draw that thing outside. It regenerates health. It probably has leeching. It killed my doppelganger pretty fast. But I think our reflection chance could help us. Let me draw the boss outside. You should always do this, because otherwise with the super spawn mob that I'm using, it will make it impossible. There we go. Even if it kills me, I have my doppelganger up, so we'll he won't be able to... Ooh, a critical. See, I told you we have pretty good damage. It has health regeneration. Pretty amazing health regeneration. But it doesn't have a lot of evasion chance. Let me separate him from my doppelganger. That'll allow us to... If we get killed, if for some unfortunate reason that happens, I can run away. It inflicts bleeding damage. Careful. Yeah, it was a one-hit kill. Oof. But I dropped his health to 50%. Was a pretty good try. Could it be that I run out of potions? If I run out of potions, that's the case, and I could have done it. No, I didn't run out of potions. Alright, and here I thought this was going to be a pretty calm and collected stream. We need to kill that thing. It's a world boss, people. It's a world boss. It's our... fifth world boss. It's our fifth world boss. Right. Let me grab some potions. We'll do the side quest here first, and that thing is dying. Alright. Yeah, see why I wanted to... that's the thing. That's why I always want to separate... The idea is to separate the boss from my doppelganger. If that happens, whenever I get killed, my soul is transferred back. It's transferred back to the doppelganger, and the distance it takes to the boss to go back to the original position of my doppelganger allows me to recover much faster. But in that case, my doppelganger followed me. It's something that I cannot control. I cannot control the artificial intelligence, and well, it instantly turned back and killed me. And it was a one-hit kill. It was probably a critical as well. So yeah. But I have the right amount of damage and defense to kill him. Like, that was an easy boss. Like, it doesn't have a lot of defense. It doesn't have a lot of evasion chance. Remember that in this game, the naming convention is defense equals evasion chance. Let me grab some potions. Guys. And let's get back to it. And I'll have the chance to finish my story. So, John Kirby wins the case. And as you must imagine, Nintendo definitely rewards him. Besides the payment, they made him kind of like official Nintendo ambassador or something like that. In case you are wondering, that's a title that Nintendo gave to kind of like exceptionally workers who dedicated their lives to Nintendo, essentially. I think Charles Martinet, the original voice of Mario, received it not so long ago as an example. But imagine that guy dedicated his life to creating the English voice of Mario. So imagine, people, imagine. Charles Martinet has it, and John Kirby, I am quite sure they awarded it to him. But besides that, that wasn't enough. Nintendo was so grateful with John Kirby that, as you all must imagine by now, they named an unnamed and prototype character at the time after him. Yes, they named Kirby after John Kirby, after the lawyer who defended them against in the Paramount case. And that's why we could say it's extremely accurate. It's extremely accurate to say that Kirby is the original protector of Donkey Kong. Yes, Kirby is officially Donkey Kong's protector. Like his squire, like his guardian angel, if you will. He's the guardian angel of Donkey Kong. And it's something that game reviewers don't pay attention to. Wow. I don't know, it's a breastplate. 89, 48, but this one had, yeah, 30 attack and defense, probably. Yeah. So yes, Yes, and few people know this story. They Miyamoto had this kind of like the video game part of the story rather than the legal part of it. Um,
It can't hurt, and who knows? Maybe we'll
Miyamoto
some news.
um,
Everyone in town.
had a prototype character at that time. He was developing the character of Kirby. Kirby wasn't finished. It wasn't pink. It was kind of like all white. I think you can see prototypes of him. And his original name, he was unnamed. Miyamoto didn't have a name for him. He was finishing the character, and precisely since he was unsure of what name he was going to give to the character that now we know as Kirby, the case was won, and in honor of John Kirby, the lawyer who defended Nintendo, is that the character from the video game that you all know and love, is named after. And is the guardian angel of Donkey Kong. So yes, incredible story. I love that story. I have to tell it more on stream. I don't know why I didn't tell it on stream previously in the analysis. So yes, that's how. Besides, it's how the video game industry, as I said, got independent from the movies, the film industry.
Heretic figure.
So it's incredible. And yes, Miyamoto, in order to John Kirby, named the character. Oh yeah. Incredible. And well, I think the children of John Kirby followed the legacy that he left behind. If I'm not mistaken, if I remember the story correctly. But well, there you go. Kirby, thank you for offering a company. Let's set off at once.
Mission was a great success.
Alright, this was... Now we have to bring him back to the village, right? Right, anyways, see why I always want to grab all of my side quests. See that now? Hey, we have a different path here to go over there. We still need to kill the werewolf. Let me see. 102 should be more than enough. But just to be on the safe side, let me bring more. Trust me, this is the best policy, because this way you can ensure that you don't have to go back to town and buy the potions. It's better to buy all of the potions before going up against the boss. Let me grab some more, and we'll complete both quests at the same time. And also exploring. So 3 for the price of 1. We're also exploring the place and doing 2 side quests. Okay. Hope you enjoyed my story, ladies and gentlemen. It's certainly a story that I wish it would be told much more. And because of what I've told you. Alright. Let's yeah, the problem here is that no, we'll use our horse if you don't mind, because if I lose my spider I'll lose a million gold. We don't want that to happen, so let me switch to my horse and let's get out of here at once. Let's see if I can use my horse. I need to avoid all of that damage over time, that range damage over time. If I hear the horse cry, I need to unmount. Damn it, I don't like that, but it can probably take it. Good. Let's see. So, I was mentioning, before telling you the story of Kirby, the gameplay mechanics, people. The gameplay mechanics. The influence... Here we go. Let's first turn in the quest. there we go. First. There's probably another nested quest. Ah, there you are again. A man is still a king around here, yes. Indeed, we'll take care of those troublesome wenches. Alright, that's it. We completed all of the nested quests there. So, there's another one there. It probably unlocked it after this one. Huh, a sequence of